And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here yet again, and today I'm broadcasting from Rockheads Comics and Games, my friendly local game store. Today we're going to take a look at a trick-taking game called MonsterCon. Now this is a game by a local company called Popcorn Press, and it's, as I said, a trick taker for multiple players. And in this game, each player will have their own special ability. We'll be trying to avoid certain suits of cards while trying to get one specific type of card in order to score stalking points, but avoid suspicion points. Real quick, before I get too far into it, we're going to take a look at the base game of MonsterCon. I'll give you an idea of what comes in the various expansions, and then I'll come back here after showing you how to play and give you my final opinions on it. Here you can see the components for MonsterCon set up for a 4-player game. Now MonsterCon is a trick-taking game where each player has a special power, and there are 2 different types of points you can score. Suspicion points, which are bad, and stalking points, which are good. And whoever has the most stalking points when one player goes over a number of suspicion points will be the winner. Now, each player here has a different ability. We have 4 characters that come with the base game of MonsterCon. We have Frankenstein, who always gets dealt 2 extra cards. He has the power of strength, so he always has more cards to choose from. We have the Mummy, who once during the game can decide that everybody can either pass their hands left or right. So once they've used all of their good cards, they'll be able to pass their cards one direction or the other to hopefully get some more good cards. We have the Werewolf, who has the ability of shape change. And the Werewolf, essentially once during the game, can declare that now low cards win every trick. And so essentially he's going to, at one point, once he's used all of his good high cards, decide that low cards now win. And then Dracula has a very strong power called Mesmerize, or Mesmeric Gaze. And he's going to, at one point during each hand, determine that one player must take the trick. No matter whether they won or lost, they have to take that trick. As the first trick of the round, each player is going to look at their hand, and they're going to select one card of their own suit. If they can, it must be of their own suit. So right here, Frankenstein has the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and 1 of his own suit. And he has several other cards here. We'll cover what these special ones are in a moment. But he's going to choose one card of his own suit, and he wants it to be relatively high. But there's a problem with that. You really don't want to take cards of your own suit, so unless you can take a specific card, you don't want to. So maybe Frankenstein here plays the 1. He doesn't really want to play a whole lot, because taking cards in your own suit is going to get you suspicion points, which are bad. Whoever has the most suspicion points will automatically lose the game if they go over 100 at any point during the game. Dracula, likewise, has to choose a card from his suit, and he doesn't have anything particularly good, so maybe he plays a 1 as well, trying to avoid taking cards of his own suit. We then have the Werewolf, and the Werewolf's going to look at his cards, and he has, again, not a whole lot going on, except for that he has the Desiree. Now, Desiree is one of the 2 highest cards. She is the highest card in a suit, and she's the only card that's going to give you stalking points, which is really kind of important. Stalking points is how you win the game. Whoever has the most, when one player goes over 100 suspicion points, will win. So, maybe the Werewolf here is going to play his Desiree. That card is 1 stalking point for him, no negative suspicion points or no bad suspicion points, and all around just a generally good play. And then the Mummy's going to look at his cards, and the Mummy will see, well, he has the 10, he also has the Desiree. Let's assume he doesn't play it just for ease sake, but if he did, they'd tie, and everybody would have to do this face down revealing again. But let's just say that he plays the 10, hoping that somebody will play a Desiree to get rid of it. So, this is the choice, and everybody will reveal their cards at the same time. We have a 1, a Desiree, and a 10. So the player who played the Desiree has played the highest card, and they're going to take all of these. So they're going to take all these cards, and actually all of them are okay for them. None of them give them suspicion points, and one of them gives them a stalking point, and they'll set that aside. But basically they can put it out of play, you'll count them later. From this point on, the Werewolf is now going to start by leading the next trick, and they can lead anything they want. But they don't want to take werewolf tricks, and they do want to take Desirees. So they're going to lead something. Maybe they decide to lead the 7 of mummies, okay? So they lead the 7 of mummies. Now each player around the table has to follow suit, if they can. So this player has the 3, the 9, and the Flash Armstrong of mummies. The Flash Armstrong is the 2nd highest card in every... they have the 3, the 4, and the 6 of mummies. I was looking at werewolves. They have the 3, the 4, the 6, and they have this sleeping in the movie room card, which is essentially a free pass if they ever don't want to play on a trick. But they have a 3, a 4, and a 6, and maybe they throw off their 6 to play for that trick. The next player, Frankenstein, again has to look at their mummy cards. They have a 9, an 8, a 2, a 1. They don't really care about taking them, but they also have the Flash Armstrong. The Flash Armstrong is the 2nd highest card of any trick and doubles any suspicion points for the player that takes it if it's of their own suit. So they have this Flash Armstrong, and they would play it out to the table if they think they can force the mummy to take it, because he's going to get double suspicion points for every mummy card that he takes. But maybe he doesn't think that he can feed it to him just yet, so he's going to put out his 8. So he plays that. And then the last player, the mummy, is going to come around, and they really don't want to take this, and they look at their cards. The only thing they have in their own suit is a Desiree, so they have to play it. And when they do so, they win this trick, which is good and bad. They get 1 stalking point for the Desiree, 2 actually, because it's of their own suit, so it's going to be doubled, but they have 7, 15, 21 suspicion points on top of it. So they got 1 stalking point and 21 suspicion. Not a great play. At this point, the mummy's going to lead, and they can lead whatever they want. They no longer have any mummy cards, but they could play the Desiree Delamont Dracula card. This is the highest card in its suit, and they want to take it because it's worth a stalking point. But everybody around the table, again, would have to play. So maybe they play off the 5. They can't take it. They want to keep their 10 for later. Dracula here says, you know, I'm going to play off my 7 because I don't want to have high Dracula cards, and this is an opportunity to get rid of it. And Frankenstein here is going to follow suit likewise. He has to play his 9 of Draculas. So this trick is going to go again to the mummy, and he's going to take all of these cards. The Dracula cards are no suspicion points for him, and the Desiree is going to be 1 stalking point at the end of the round. So he's now collected 3 stalking points, but several suspicion points. And so you'll continue on in this manner. You'll play, and maybe this player leads a low Dracula card. And this player then follows with the 10 of Draculas, and so forth and so on. So the players are going to continue playing tricks. If at any point you don't have the suit that you need in order to follow, and I believe Frankenstein here no longer has any Draculas, you can play whatever card you want to throw it off. And he's going to want to start getting rid of some Frankenstein cards because he doesn't want to get caught with that many of them. He'll eventually end up taking tricks if he does. And this player, the werewolf, is now going to take this trick, and he actually takes a Frankenstein card with it. He could have thrown this player a werewolf card, which would have given them suspicion points and hurt them a little bit towards, succeeding in the game, but instead he decided to get rid of one of his own Frankenstein cards. At any point during one of these tricks, the players can use their abilities. Frankenstein just has extra cards, so he's always using his, but the mummy, once they've decided they don't like their cards anymore, could decide that everybody's going to rotate their hand to the left. Frankenstein would get to keep 2 random cards from his stack so that he always has the right amount, but everybody else is going to rotate their cards around the table. That was actually to the right, whatever. If Dracula sees a trick that he's taking and he doesn't want to take because it's got a lot of suspicion points in it, Dracula could say, no, the mummy's going to take that trick. Or if the werewolf is all out of good cards, he can now decide that low cards are going to win at any point during the hand. You're essentially going to play through all of the cards. Frankenstein will have 2 left, and then at the end of the round, you're going to look and see how many suspicion points you scored, counting up the values of all of the suits that are your own, double them if you have your own Flash Gordon, and get 1 suspicion point for every Desiree you have, although 2 stalking points. You'll get 1 stalking point for each Desiree you have, and 2 stalking points if you have your own Desiree. Those stalking points are good, and the suspicion points are bad, and if any player passes 100 suspicion points, they'll automatically lose the game. At that point, whoever has the most stalking points will win. But if there's a tie between 2 players, the person that's in 3rd place will actually win, or 2nd place, I guess, if there's a tie. If there's a tie 3 ways and 1 player's kicked out of the game, nobody wins, Desiree escapes, and there's no winner to the game. But essentially, you want to collect Desirees, get stalking points, and avoid suspicion points, and whoever best does this will be the winner. So in addition to just MonsterCon, there's already 3 expansions for the game. We have Son of MonsterCon, which come with these 4 abilities. We have the Return of MonsterCon, which come with these 4. And we have the Cthulhu Pack, which come with 4 more. And in addition to each of those, of course, they have the corresponding suits for the deck that you can use to mix in with the base game. So you always have the right suit for the players, so you know which suspicion points you're trying to avoid. These have come with, the Bride of Frankenstein, the Ghost of Room 13, Phantom of the Opera, and the Undertaker in Son of MonsterCon. And all of these have different abilities, like Embalm, which is going to allow that player to either ignore their own Flash Armstrong or double one of their Desirees. Or the Bride of Frankenstein, which is going to allow each player to draw a card from one other player's hand. You shuffle them all up and redistribute them. You have things like Swampy in Return of MonsterCon, where your Flash Armstrong does not double your suspicion points, always, so he's got a good ability. And you can mix and match all of these, picking whichever monsters you like to make a deck of cards, and then use those, distributing them to the players randomly and dealing the deck of cards out, so that you always have a different experience. So each of these different sets can be combined to increase the variability of the game. In addition, there are some special action cards that occur in each of these decks that are going to give you a little bit of a different feel. So if you like to include those, you can have special actions that come up through the dealing of the cards in order to change your gameplay style. Nonetheless, there's a ton of variety, a ton of different playstyles you can choose here, and you can try and tailor your deck to be the one that you feel is the best combination and best balance of cards. And there you have it. That is MonsterCon and the cards from some of the various expansions. This is a pretty good trick-taking game. I like games where I'm trying to avoid a certain suit. I'm trying to look for specific cards because it gives you a little bit of a changing dynamic based on what's been played to the table. This one, incorporating the special powers, gives you various different types of things you can do to manipulate those scenarios. Now, with that said, I do enjoy MonsterCon, but there are certain combinations of monsters that I don't really enjoy playing with. But that's the beauty of this, is you can avoid that by picking and choosing which monsters you want to play. You can take the monsters that you think are balanced well together, or the ones that don't have superpowered abilities. And you can avoid the ones that do, because I think Dracula, for example, who allows you to just give one trick to a player, is a devastating ability in that game. You can do it once per hand, but you can essentially feed somebody 50 suspicion points. Well, not 50, but 40 maybe. The 10, the 9, the 8, and the 7 are all played out in the trick of your suit. Dracula can just go, here you go, you get the 10, 9, 8, and 7, which is 30-some suspicion points immediately to you during that hand. And if it gets doubled by Flash Gordon, whoo, you've just taken enough suspicion points to move you halfway of getting kicked out of the game. So, some of the abilities are overpowered, but you can balance them as you see fit. You can customize the game to your own playstyles. You can pick and choose which ones you like and which you don't, and generally just, tailor your own experience. So, the game is well designed. It's a good trick-taker game, but you want to get various different combinations and pay attention to which ones work together. If that sounds like it's good for you, check it out. That's MonsterCon and the various expansions.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.